Hi, friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Better Events Podcast. I'm one of your co hosts, Logan Clements. And this week, Mary and I sit down with no other than friend of the pod and book club member Marisa Cali to talk all about slowing down and making time for intentional reflection, even as we are busy with our events as event professionals. This episode is chocked full of some practical steps where you can integrate some moments for presence and reflection in your day to day as a busy event pro. We have so much fun doing this interview with her. You are going to find some really key takeaways, I feel like, about gratitude, defining your level of success, and just integrating ways to be more present because we are so good at showing up for others. Let's take this episode to reflect on how you can better show up for yourself as an event professional. So let's get into this week's episode.
Welcome to the Better Events Podcast. Join two event strategists, Logan Clements and Mary Davidson, who believe we can all create, host, and attend better events. In this podcast, you will learn about event strategy and actions that you can use today as an event host, planner, or manager. Hear directly from the people who are creating innovative and inspiring events today and tomorrow, and grow your business along the way. Now, let's get started, and thanks for listening to the Better Events Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week of the Better Events Podcast. We are thrilled, as always, for you to be with us, but also for our guests today. So we're going to get into it, but today we are talking about slowing down. So I'm going to slow down as I introduce this a little bit more. I always talk really fast. But this is going to be a good conversation today about some intentional reflection as event professionals, which is something that we all need. And so we're excited for this discussion today with our guest, Marisa, and Logan will introduce her today.
Yes. Hi, friends. I'm thrilled to introduce Marisa. Marisa Cali is an event producer and strategist who helps organizations create meaningful experiences, both virtual and in person. Through her company, Be Present LLC, she partners with corporate and nonprofit leaders to design clarity-led events and trainings that foster trust, efficiency, and connection. With over a decade of experience and a remote work lifestyle since 2013, she blends tech-savvy strategy with mindful presence to support conversations that matter. Whew, Marisa. I mean, there's multiple pieces in there that I love. Anything else you want to add to your intro?
No, it's perfect. It's the perfect way to describe me. And hopefully we'll get into what I love to talk about is about being present. So thank you all for having me here.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited. This is going to be a good discussion and something we're both personally just like really into. So excited for this. But we do a little bit where we talk about why we invited our guests. And so we have had a relationship and friendship with Marisa for a long time. And so she has been a longtime supporter of this podcast. So thank you so much for that. You also attend, I think, pretty regularly the book club that Logan puts on. And
Yes.
we were talking about this before, but we've been loving your content. We've been seeing it. A lot of which has been about intentionally slowing down. You also have an annual retreat that you started this year. And so we just love seeing everything that you're up to. And we thought it would be great to bring those discussions here on the podcast. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I am a longtime supporter, and really a lot of the small intentional gatherings like the book club and like the virtual events that maybe I've seen you guys in chats or have yet to meet you in person, but it's gonna happen soon. It's really been helpful for my career in navigating into more events, which started more in 2020. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to
It is
have you.
crazy that we still have never met in person, actually, now that you say that. That's still occurring. It's still virtual,
Yeah,
but yes, we will make it happen soon.
yeah.
But to start off, we like to start a little broad with our questions. And so this might be obvious, but why is slowing down so hard for event professionals?
Okay, so like I'm coming from a freelancer mindset, and I think this applies to anyone who's in freelance. It's hard to slow down because you don't know where your next client might come. You might be operating from a fear or like a lack program where you feel like your clients are could go away at any point, so you have to keep hustling and keep going. And events generally they're packed back to back, and there's no time to slow down. So we just mirror the way they are. And I am, I wouldn't say that all the time I slow down. For example, even yesterday, well, it just an example. This happens. I was up at 5:30 and out of my house by 6:30. I didn't get home till 8 p.m. But that allows me to be here now and not be thinking, oh my gosh, I got to get to this part. I got to, record with Logan and Mary and then get to this thing and then do that thing. And it's like constant, right? It just repeatable practices. So yes, it's very important to figure out how you can slow down, even though it's very hard to do.
Yeah, it's one of those I feel like is almost like a doctor's orders where, like, it's good for you, but like a vegetable, but
Mhm.
it's easier said than done,
Yes,
especially
yes.
in event work. You shared a kind of a micro example there, but can you share a moment in your
Mhm.
career where going full speed didn't really
Mhm.
serve you, or maybe a time where slowing down actually helped you?
Yeah, I remember it was in 2023. I had just started working with a nonprofit where I was managing their virtual and working on their big in-person event. A new role to me. I was also working with a friend, and so I felt like I had to prove that person, but I also had other clients that were also in my portfolio that I didn't want to let go. I was operating from a place that like, okay, like I have to say yes to my friend because this is an opportunity and I also have to, keep my other clients. And I got to a point where I was probably not in my best mindset because of how I reacted to uh, a situation that wasn't ideal. I spoke in a way that wasn't representative of how I wanted to show up for this woman, the leader in this space in this particular scenario, and it reflected badly on me amongst the team. We were at a retreat, like a staff retreat, where we were doing like strategic planning and kind of talking about like the next phases and stuff. And I just like I just wasn't myself. I was like guard down, just kind of like blurted out some stuff and it just felt gross after the fact because I was like, wow, like this is like in any other world. I mean, like I ended up not working with them after a month and I look at it as a good thing because it actually opened up space for me to like be free when my father passed like 2 months after that. So I don't know if it was like the craziness was, like, happening for me to just hit my breaking point and, have to let go a specific project or, step away from it for the time to actually slow down and be present with my family to, like, grieve my dad and, like, lay him to rest and plan that event. So I went from planning virtual events and this small, like, in-person event to my dad's funeral. But it's still an event. You still have to gather people. You still have to make people feel welcome. You have to give them information. So, yeah, it was an interesting time, but, I realized that I could not say yes to everything at that time and really create space like I think we operate sometimes under a lack um, idea, idea, right? We're like, okay, well, we have to say yes to this because we don't know when the next project's going to come, or you know, the industry's changing and we might not get that next client. So yeah, it's interesting how that happened, but it feels okay that it happened that way.
We interrupt this episode to remind you of our upcoming in person day of the Better Events Conference on Thursday, December 18th in downtown Seattle. We would love to see you there. If you already have purchased tickets and attended the first day, our virtual day of the conference, you can upgrade your ticket. Just check your swap card email and we'll get you squared away. If you have not attended the conference yet this year and would like to, you can check out bettereventspod.com/conference, and there is a link for you to purchase your in-person day ticket as well.
Yes, and I love the option there because you can retroactively get access to some of the recordings, not all of the sessions from our virtual day, but you can go back if you feel the FOMO that you couldn't join us in person. So upgrade your existing ticket or purchase a ticket if you hadn't pulled the trigger yet. We are going to have an amazing day filled with interactive workshops, small group work. Again, think of what we were saying about the virtual. It's that interactive piece. We're going to deliver what we promise of you meeting 3 new people and learning 3 new things that you can apply to your event process immediately.
And we know that virtual events can be magical, and it was magical. We also know that the energy that's going to be in the room for the in-person day is just something that is unparalleled. So we are encouraging you to join us and be a part of that if you're able. All right, we have so much to look forward to during that day of the conference, and so we hope to see you there.
And without further ado, let's get back to the episode.
You have a wonderful perspective on it because and that's how it goes, right? Looking back, I'm sure you see that now how it all worked out, but in the moment
Mhm.
it sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And with I think a lot of the work that we all do, there's some seasonality to it. Some of us might be busy all year long, but certain like for
Mhm.
me, I'm like most busy in the spring. And so it seems like March, April, May, it's just crazy. And then we're just basically working and like living to the summer. Like we can do
Right.
all these fun things when we get to the summer. You know, we can take this
Mhm.
break when we get to the summer. Right now we're just powering through. And there's a level
Mhm.
of I think like reality in that. It is kind of what we have to do. But
Mhm.
what are like 1 to 2 small realistic ways that event professionals can build in reflection even during those peak season times or between back-to-back events?
Yeah, I say, um, well, I this year I created like a clarity guide, and this is for any not specifically event pros, but more leaders. You might be busy 9 to 5, you might be busy from project to project, like seasons, and it's really just reflection questions that like, okay, how do I want to show up for my people today? And sometimes it takes that extra 10 minutes before you get on the elevator to go down to the show floor, or you have to intentionally wake up a little bit earlier to see the sunrise so that you have the quiet time, or you don't go out at night for that, networking event. That I mean, even if you're running it, like, can you step away for a second, or can you leave right when it's over and then go to sleep or rest? I mean, you have to create those spaces, and it's tough. It's really hard. Like, I've actually like really dived into a lot of that. I've been meditating regularly for 6 years. Um and that helps, but actually I've fallen off my meditation practice cuz it gets repetitive. It's like, "Oh yeah, every morning. Okay. Yeah, 10 minutes. Okay, calm and the same message over and over." So I had to create other ways of how I can just like step away from that busyness, which is like waking up for the sunrise in Miami at 6 a.m. Now, that's not ideal. Most people who are up at 6 a.m. in Miami are up because they've stayed up, not because not the other way around. So, yeah, I mean, that is really, and it just creates time for reflection. You don't have to have the questions, but when you're near maybe outside with the moon or outside with water, like that's your time to reflect. And it sounds very woo woo, but it definitely helps. And it's changed my life. So,
And it sounds like what you're describing, because I feel like when I think reflection, I think of like the deep work where we're really existentially thinking about, the why and all that. But what you're getting
mhm.
at more, these are like kind of
Micro.
micro
Hmm.
grounding efforts or things just to be like, I'm present. I mean, it makes sense with your be present, but you're present and acknowledging
Yes.
that moment.
Yes. Yeah. And it is micro moments, those micro times. I have an alarm that I've been doing my gratitude practice at 11:11 every day. For 6 years whenever I started meditating, and I might not do it right at 11:11 if I'm in the middle of some crazy stuff, but I will, like, take that time to just say 3 things I'm grateful for. Now that's not a huge reflection, that's not this paragraph, you're not writing, like you said, why, but you are doing something just very intentional for yourself and bringing it back, and I say do it often, and I do it every day, even when I'm with, like, friends, I'll ask them because I think it's easy for us, oh, when you see the post, "What are you grateful for?" Or like things, this upcoming gratitude season and stuff. You're like, "What are you grateful for?" Everyone always says, "Friends, family, job, kids," like in that order. And then they don't ever talk about it again. Maybe they ask in 2 weeks later, but throughout the day, each day, I'm saying, "Yeah, I'm grateful for virtual tools so I can connect with you all, right?" Or I'm grateful for water. I mean, like, how often do people say they're grateful for water? I mean, we're very lucky. in the States to have clean water. A lot of people don't have it. So it just changes your mindset and gets you present, like you said.
I hope listeners go rewind the last like minute and a half and re-listen, because I think that is really, really important. And just something, as we were getting ready for this episode, I feel like a common pushback on some of, this idea of slowing down and reflecting is like, if I slow down, I'm going to fall behind. Right. And
Hmm.
so what's your take on kind of how we can shift our thinking away from that
Hmm.
mindset of slowing down means we fall behind, and actually turn it into something that can help us, even do
Yeah.
better. I wouldn't even say more, do better as event pros.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a reprogramming of your mindset, and it's not going to happen after the first time you think it, because it does take practice. Um, if you miss like an email, like I've missed a few emails because I've been on site and those opportunities pass. To me, I truly believe, and this has taken work and practice, that everything that's meant for me is for me and will come to me. So if you have already done that work and something potentially falls behind, or you don't answer potential client or whatever, then it's not for you, or it'll come back around. Or if you're on a project and like you are running all those things, but you've built in all those practices beforehand to reflect, then it happens less. So it's kind of like, let's not be reactive, let's be proactive, right? So if I slow down, well, oh, okay, you probably won't fall behind because you're more intentional about your projects, or you're showing up differently. So your clients are going to understand, and I'm guilty of definitely filling my schedule and like going hard and like not stopping, but I never show up in the way I want to because my responses are quick, they're not thoughtful, or I'm just blurting out a price that I think, or like, just something just doesn't align that way. And I mean, I guess I'm just truly believe anyone who comes to me is meant for me, and I don't have an attachment to that outcome. So it's kind of a whole thing when it comes to your mindset, but it's hard to learn. It's definitely practice.
Definitely practice for sure. I've
Yeah.
been thinking as you've been just explaining pretty much everything, and especially what you just
Yeah.
said, I was like, clearly Marissa's done some work on like to get to this place. So it's
Yeah.
amazing to hear you talk about it, because I think it's something that a lot of us kind of seek for, you
Mhm.
know. So it's
Mhm.
possible. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And
Which
it's
is
all the time. I mean, I go through my imposter syndrome. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I so not busy? Right? Like why have
Mhm.
I created all this space to like now I have to like be alone with my thoughts, which are, how's work going to go? When am I going to get my next thing? Or like, oh, that relationship didn't turn out the way I want in terms of a client relationship, or, someone's ghosted me, right? So I'm alone with those during my free time, which takes work as well to work through. So yeah, it's definitely a balance, but it's not unattainable. I think I'm always working towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see it's like active work for sure. And while
Mhm,
you've been
mhm.
kind of figuring out all of these things, what's one way that your personal definition of success or productivity has evolved since embracing this intentional reflection?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. This is kind of the ethos behind everything that I've been doing over the last 5, 6 years. And my definition of success first starts with believing that I deserve success. So in 2019, I discovered or realized after doing some personal work that I was self-sabotaging projects. I was self-sabotaging client relationships, communications, because I was okay with being not charging what I'm worth. So it wasn't a fear of failure, it was a fear of success. And that is like a completely I get chills when I talk about it, because I'm like, it's not like a business strategy, but it's a mindset strategy that affected my business. Because once I realized it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been in this in at that time I was like transitioning more into events. I was still doing it, like I was doing some virtual events right before COVID, some content marketing. And so part of it was like, I have like 15, 10, 15 years. I don't even know the math. Since 2005, I've been working in digital marketing. But at that time, I was like, okay, I need to start transitioning. And it was kind of like, okay, but I didn't know how to transition. I didn't know how to charge what I was worth. And then when I got my big new client, I just didn't know how to handle him. It was, they trusted me to, pay me this amount per month. And I just kind of was like, I froze. I was like, how can I like help them? And I almost didn't. I just like didn't do stuff. And I was like, oh, now that my bank account has a little bit more money in it, I can't manage. Like that's weird. That's like backwards. So yeah, it was my going back to your question, the personal definition of success to me is believing that I deserve success. And success looks different to everyone. So I can't say, oh, this is me and successful. Like I want to be happy. I want to inspire abundance. I want to have great travel, great relationships, great friendships. Like there's so many things of success and also money in the bank. But if I don't believe that I deserve it, then I will never get there.
So many good nuggets of mindset, because I feel like just hearing your answer, Marissa, really resonated. And I mean, I'm thinking my own. I feel like my hot take is always when I tell people, I'm like, I don't aspire for more events. Like, I think I had
Yeah.
this realization a couple years ago. It was like, I think I hit the max in terms of just volume of events
Mhm.
that I want to do, because I think it's constant. We hear it all the time. It's like, do more, be more, get more. Like, and it was like, I
Mhm.
think I had enough. It's now just
Yeah.
figuring out the ingredients and the, quality of events or the roles or whatever. Like, I just need to tweak that more. But I was like, I think I
Mhm.
clocked in somewhere between 30 and 35 events. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need to do more
It's
than
not
that. I don't.
sustainable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, I was like, that would just drive me insane. Like, to me, more
Yeah.
doesn't feel feasible. So,
Right.
um,
Well,
it's
and it's always like, and then what, right? You get those more events, and then what? Now what else, right? I mean, we as humans, I think deal with that all the time. You get that, okay, you get the the partner, and then you get the house, and then you get the nice car, and then you get more money and the raise, and then what? And then what? And we're always searching for that, and we're never happy with what we have.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
mm,
am just because going back to, I feel like you've clearly, as Mary mentioned, done a lot of work on this and
mhm,
carved out space to go through this. Um, you had mentioned earlier that you'd had the moment where going too much, all of a sudden, doing too much reflected poorly with
mhm,
a client you were working on, but then it aligned also with like the passing of your dad. And
mhm,
like, has any of I'm also going through my own kind of journey with
mhm,
grief this year, and I'm just curious if
mhm.
going through that had a little bit of an impact on this direction you've now taken your company and
Oh
everything.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it wasn't immediate in terms of like affecting my business, but it was where I wasn't doing business development or doing the connecting because I didn't want to always talk about my dad passing. And he passed in July, and then like October, November, December, first holidays without him. I'm like, what do I do? I have no clients. I have clients, but they're not like aligned with me. Like it's just not what I want to do. I was just getting money, but not really. There's nothing there. And so the idea had been actually, I've been brewing about the retreat idea of I just want to get away from my screen, which is my routine every day, right? Like, or not every day, but most of the days you're behind your screen, you're working, you're on your laptop, you're working, or, you know, anything with the screen. But I'm like, how do I get out of that routine and like actually work on the things that I want to work on or that I want to clearly communicate to my potential clients? So that's where the retreat came about. The idea came about so that was July. So I really kind of put the wheels in motion and started talking about it a year after his passing. So going through all the grieving and, you know, obviously still grieving. Actually saw him in my like pre-dream last night, when I was closing eyes and then like I smiled. I was like, yes, I saw him again. Yeah, thank you. This is awesome. And I had to mention that because it's just like it's constant. Like this, it's not something that just goes away, but you just get more reflection. Anyways, the retreat came about and I realized, okay, like, how do I communicate what I want to offer in a way that is clear and intentional? And it took the me taking away from my routine and actually going, and we were by a lake in Alabama with at a friend's condo, and it was like really eye-opening for everyone that was there. And I was like, this is what I want to do, because it blends the mindset with the strategic, like, actual business talk that we talked about, branding. We talked about AI tools. We talked about updating your website. But then we also, like, had some walks in the middle of the day. And then we sat on the dock and, like, just reflected and with the water. Like, it was a perfect blend of what I wanted to do. So I was like, yep, this is it. But I had to step away. I don't, who knows how quickly I would have came to that realization if I didn't actually step out of my routine and I always say, give myself permission to pause and reset, because it's so easy, I think, for us that have built our businesses just by figuring it out, not necessarily always having a business coach or the guidance. We just, okay, we'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure out the branding, like sitting behind my desk. Like, really? You really think that? I don't know. Maybe it works for people, but I think that, stepping away and giving yourself that permission to reflect, reset, and it's aligned with the Lunar New Year. So it's very, around that time, like, not January 1st, but like, people think that, oh my God, I have to have all my goals and everything planned out before January 1st. And I don't necessarily believe that, because I still think we're in that time of reset and newness in the beginning of the year. So that's why it's not in October or November to plan for 2026. I'm like, if you're planning for your life, then it doesn't necessarily need to be before the calendar year.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts with what you shared. So thank you for just sharing all of those things and being open. One of the buzzwords that I think go along with this are like boundaries, right? We hear that all the time. For me,
Mhm.
I'm a people pleaser. I think a lot of us struggle from being people pleasers. So what boundaries or systems have helped you actually do this? Like actually protect your time for
Mhm.
reflection or this intentional decision-making time?
Yeah, I don't know if you've read the book Four Agreements, but this is actually a book that I read when I was doing my personal work, and it's really bled into framework for event professionals that I hope that people can, really bring into their life. The Four Agreements are: be impeccable with your word. So that's a boundary there, because you're not telling a lie, you're just telling the truth, right? And also how you talk to yourself. Like, sometimes people say, "Oh, I messed up," or "I did this bad thing," right? So be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally, because most of the time it's not your personal thing that someone's mad, someone's upset. Like, it's not because of you. Even if they say it is you, it's not. um, don't make assumptions. So this is really huge, I think, in the events world. But I, applied it to my personal, and then I see it now in events world. You can't make assumptions, especially when you're communicating, right? Like, you guys sent an email with, some prep, and most people do that with any type of event. You can't assume that I'm going to know how to log in here, or I'm going to know how to show up, right? I have a little bit of experience with StreamYard, but I know how to do that. But a lot of people do not, right? So you can't assume they're going to know, because we've all been virtual for, you know, or mostly virtual ever since COVID. And then the last one is always do your best. So if your best is 60%, it's still your best. If your best is 90%, it's still your best at that time. So those systems or boundaries that I live by, because it really does help in all types of communication, how you show up, how you react to things. It's a life-changing book. It's really, this is a mini version of it. So you can get it on Amazon, but it's really easy to read. I've read it like 6 times, and it changes every time I read it, because I've changed, right? Like, I've done the work. So yeah, it's one of the first books I did when I started realizing what I was doing to myself, self-sabotaging and all that. So it definitely applies in the events world.
Yeah, we'll put the link to that book in the show notes for sure. I think it's been on my reading list. I haven't yet tackled it, but every
Yeah.
time we talk, Marissa, I'm always like, oh, she said it was really good.
Yeah.
Need
Yeah.
to just bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I've heard you say that at book club a few times. So I'm like,
yep, yeah,
oh, okay.
I'll put it down. I will, I promise.
Yeah.
This will be my action step, listeners. Here we go. It's gonna be
Yes.
before the end of the year. I'll have this. But this has been chock full of, I think, really good content for our listeners here, and just even this, I feel like could be an act of reflecting and slowing down for them, just listening to the
Mhm.
episode. But if our listeners could remember just one thing, I feel like there'll be a lot, but just one thing in your opinion, what do you hope it is that they get out of this episode?
Yeah, I think that the one thing is being okay with giving yourself permission to slow down, because that's where it starts. If you don't even believe that, or you're not allowing yourself for that, then it'll never happen. Like I could say all day, slow down, slow down. No, no one's going to slow down, but if they have to actually believe it. So, and slow down, I mean, that could be like literally 2 minutes. I mean, slow down means a lot, and could mean anything in different contexts. So yeah, that's one thing.
I love it. That's a great one thing. And Marissa, we've gained so much from chatting today. So thank you for everything that you've shared.
Mhm.
But we'd love to give you a moment to share where listeners can find you or what else you have exciting going on so that they can follow along on your journey.
Yeah, sure. I can best be connected with on LinkedIn. So you just search Marisa Cali. I have a little like star symbol, so that's me. There is another Marisa Cali on LinkedIn, so hopefully you don't find that one. We've actually connected. We're friends. So, and she's in digital marketing, which is like the weirdest thing ever. Um, Marisa Cali with the star. And we'll probably have a lot of mutuals if you're the event space. And then I'm also on Instagram. I love to create content and reels, but I also give myself permissions to step away from Instagram and like not do it. So I'm not always there. I try to be there. It's be present events on Instagram.
And I do want you, Marissa, to plug the retreats if you can, because we've
Yes.
alluded to you
Okay.
have one coming up, but we would love our
Yes.
listeners to learn about that.
Yes, so my Aligned and Affirmed retreat is on January 9th through 11th in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I do have 3 spots left. It is, we're kind of at the final stage of reserving your spot. So if you're thinking about it, definitely reach out to me at marissa@bepresentllc.com, or message me on LinkedIn or DM. But I do have to give final notice. We all know events have certain dates. So yeah, if you are thinking about it or you want to talk about potentially attending, then reach out to me. And I would love to plan them for people as well, for their businesses, as for their teams. So we can talk about that as well.
Thank you so much, Marissa. Yes, please reach out to learn more about all the things. And I can only plug your LinkedIn so much because it is amazing. And
Thank you.
I feel like you give me some moments of slowing down just by following along. So thank you for
Yes.
being
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you both for having me and being able to share what has really changed my life. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Marissa. And that brings us to the end of our episode. Mary, you have our bonus tip this week.
I do. So, as you know, our bonus tips may or may not be related to our episode. This one is just random, but it's related to events. So, I have another tip for your event kit. Recently, I've been at 2 events over the summer that have all required double sided tape, which I don't know if you have it in your kit. I didn't. I had to go buy it and then come back, and then it just keeps coming up. So, add double sided tape to your event kit. And that is my bonus tip for today.
That'll help get you out of some sticky situations, right?
Oh,
Hey, I can do a pun. Thank you so much, Mary, for that bonus tip. That brings us truly to the end of this week's episode. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Better Events Pod. You can send us an email at bettereventspod@gmail.com. We hoped you joined us for the conference just last week on October 1st, but you can find out more information about the in-person day by going to bettereventspod.com/conference. And you can always connect with Mary and I directly on LinkedIn, as well as our lovely guest, Marissa. Just let us know you heard about us through the podcast in that little message feature. And if you want even more Better Events content, join our private community on Substack. As always, we thank you for listening, and we'll be back in your feeds again next Wednesday.